Hi. Y'all would not believe the amount of comments I've gotten asking me if I'm going to talk about Severance Season 2. Guys. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it, obviously. I've had a lot of requests to do like an episode by episode breakdown, and I'm not gonna do that yet. Here's the thing. Season 2 hasn't even been fully released yet. Like, we're only 5 episodes in, guys, okay? I'm gonna talk about it, but I prefer to know the full context of the season before I go in and just start talking about stuff. There will be, in the very near future, a video covering the entirety of Severance Season 2, similar to my first video, but I am also making this video a little bonus video since we're living in just monumental, iconic times here when it comes to Severance Season 2 being released. And let me tell you, so far, I am not disappointed on any level whatsoever. In this video, I'm assuming that you have already watched the first 5 episodes of Season 2. If not, you're welcome to join, but there will be spoilers. I'm gonna give kind of my overall basic thoughts about each episode, and then I want to focus on one scene in particular from each episode that I want to like focus on a little more in depth for the hell of it, for the fun of it, you know? We're having a good time today. Episode 1 was weird. It was just such a different vibe from any episode that we've seen so far, and they've done that a few times in this season, and it's blowing my mind already. It's so good. Comparing episode 1 in season 1 to episode 1 in season 2, the pacing is vastly different. Episode 1 is very slow paced with more drawn out cinematography, more mysterious, ooh, what's going on kind of a feeling through the whole thing. But this one is just like, boom, 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 let's go. Like, it's really high paced right off the bat. I liked the episode overall, but episode 1 has also been my least favorite of all the episodes I've seen of Severance so far, just because it did feel so different in the first half of it, where it's just like, whoa, what's going on? It seems like we're trying to be tricked. You don't really know what's happening. And to me, it just felt weird. But in hindsight, I think the majority of the weirdness of this episode is coming from Mr. Milchick, where Milchick just seems off. Like, something is really weird about him, but as we've seen the episodes progress, there is something weird happening with Mr. Milchick. It seems like he's actually having some sort of internal conflict with the company itself. I think one of the reasons why this episode is so confusing is because Mr. Milchick is coming in with such a heavy change in his demeanor, where now all of a sudden the vibe is, we care about you. You are people. You are our employees. We want you to feel valued and loved and respected here. And it's really hard to trust Mr. Milchick because of how creepy and weird he's been this entire time, but I genuinely think that he's being truthful. Not with everything that he's saying necessarily, but in his demeanor, in his desire to help the innies feel like they are valued. I think that that is actually a change of heart that he's had, where he's saying, Miss Cobell treated you guys terribly. You were treated like animals. I can't believe I did that to you. Maybe he is actually having a change of mindset when it comes to the innies.
I truly respect each and every one of you, and I don't want to be your jailer.
I'm also really intrigued about the promise he made to Dylan about being able to see his wife and his family, like in that visitation room, and how he used very legal speak, like, if you take this at face value, yes, that's probably what it means, where I'm like, okay, so what's going on underneath the surface? Because we did see that Dylan did in fact get to meet his actual wife, so it wasn't a lie. But there's something else going on there that I don't know. We've only seen a little bit of that with Dylan and his wife. I'm intrigued to see what that's all about.
Are you saying I could see my family here?
If you take the name of the room at face value, I'd say yes.
I also want to talk about Irving and Dylan in this episode. I loved the scene in the hallway when Irving is trying to leave and Dylan stops him and explains how important Irving is to him, which is so sincere and beautiful. Loved that part. I also love that Irving finally breaks and tells Dylan secretly in his ear about the black hallway that he was painting. I also want to talk about, in hindsight, big spoilers for episode 4, that Helly is a sleeper agent right now. This is actually Helena Egan, not Helly herself. A friend of mine actually figured this out immediately, and it was from this interaction, which I want to point out. I think this was such a good catch.
It's mushy. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's mushy?
Helly.
We're not the same, actually.
That moment. Oh, when she shifts. So clearly Helena views the innies and outies as completely separate people. And I find it interesting that she has this weird double standard where she views innies as less than human, but Innie Mark is very special to her. Like, he's different than all the other innies to her. To the point where she wants to seduce him. She wants to have that experience of love and connection with him. Not his outie, but him. In that moment where she turns and goes, "We're not the same, actually." That moment with her is the first clear indication that this is Helena. And my friends caught on to that. I didn't.
We're not the same, actually.
The main reason why I had a hard time accepting that this would have been a sleeper agent Helena acting as Helly is because Mark so quickly talks about the fact that he found out his wife is Miss Casey or Gemma. In my mind, this would have been something that he would have kept much more to himself, like kept secret. And the fact that that secret is then revealed to Lumen that he knows.
Miss Casey is your wife?
It's my outie's wife. But she's dead.
Oh, I know, but it was her.
So based on the way this show is operating right now, Mark knowing about Gemma isn't like a huge issue for Lumen because that mystery isn't kept. But the one secret that has been kept from Lumen and from Helena is the dark hallway, and the fact that Irving knows about the dark hallway, that the message from his outie got through to the innie, which is, I think, the writer's way of showing us that even more than Gemma still being alive, this dark hallway is the biggest mystery of this season, maybe of the show so far. Irving very subtly, in secret, reveals to Dylan about the dark hallway because Irving is still not trusting of Lumen, whereas Mark just started trusting them immediately again, which I find really interesting.
The woman in the photo was Miss Casey.
Also, this fucking painting, dude, this is intriguing me so much. This, I think, is going to be what this season leads to, is whatever this painting is about is going to be like the climax of this season.
Kier pardons his betrayers?
So I'm excited to see where that's going. That's kind of the basic thoughts I have about episode 1. The scene I want to talk about specifically right now that I really liked.
Hello, refiners.
Hello, Miss Wong.
Oh no, it's the ball game.
I love that scene. One, for all the comedy.
Why are you a child?
Because of when I was born.
We're asking interesting questions about Miss Huang, which I don't know why she's a kid. I have a theory that maybe she's part of the Egan School for Girls that Miss Cobell went to. There was a picture of that on her shrine, her being part of the Egan School for Girls. So maybe Miss Huang is part of the whatever modernized version of the Egan School for Girls is. I don't know. I love watching Adam Scott as Innie Mark put on the show. Like his little polite coworker laugh and him being like, "I made 4 new friends today."
I am lucky enough to have made 4 new friends today.
Then there's within all that the flash of him seeing the photo of Gemma and having that emotion, but like pushing it down to keep the facade up. And oh, it's just so brilliant. It's so good. It's acted so well.
That's nice, Mark. But I have to remind you that I'm a supervisor, not a friend.
It's hilarious to me how he just turns to her and just has that petty, malicious compliance response of,
3 new friends.
this show, man, I'm just so impressed with the writing and the acting. Again, it's just so good. That's what I'm going to say about episode 1. Let's go to episode 2. Waiting for this episode felt so long. It felt like a freaking month. There were so many questions after episode 1, but episode 2 was really good. A few things I loved. Helena. Can we talk about Helena? Holy shit. I love her. She's so cool. Helena is like weirdly even hotter than Helly. Something about powerful women, you know, we get to see a lot more about Helena. I think from the interactions we see with her dad, it's pretty clear that he's been verbally abusive toward her, that she's been put down and diminished her entire life, that she's been kind of put in this box where she's trapped and she has all these high expectations put upon her. I think that's pretty clear when she does her PR video being like, "Oh, I was just so drunk when I said that we're torturing the innies, haha, whoops."
I've been reminded just how seriously my family's company affects the lives of real people around the world.
She's so good with putting on that face, and then as soon as the recording's done, she's like, oh. You know, that collapse that we see from her, I think, is really significant, showing us like she is putting on an act and she isn't comfortable with this life that she has. Love when she's going through the security footage and looking at her innie interacting with Mark, seeing them kiss and the love that they have for each other. And I think that she has a really mixed set of emotions here where it's a little bit of jealousy, but a little bit of like hopefulness and excitement that there's somebody who loves her, because her innie, that's still her. And I think that Helena is more optimistic about this than jealous or upset. I think that she gets really excited about this prospect that there's someone who is in love with her. Clearly, because she quite willingly volunteers to go down to the severed floor, not severed, and pretend to be Helly. I also love the moment where she looks through the window at Mark coming into work, seems very longing, as if she is genuinely developing feelings for him, creating the love pentagon that I didn't know I needed, but I always did need. One more thought about Helena. I love how poised and put together and elegant and graceful she is, but yet she's so human underneath. Oh, I'm just very intrigued by Helena Egan. I think that it will be really cool at some point if we get to see her switch sides and maybe eventually Helena reintegrates and takes down the company from the inside. That would be pretty cool to see. Would love to see it. I don't know though. Oh my god, can we, and Devin as well. Can we please talk about Devin? I adore Devin, and I adore how Devin is the one that's been trying to encourage Mark to recognize that Gemma might still be alive. I think Devin is so smart.
What the fuck are you even saying?
Why are you being a dick to me? I'm trying to help you.
I hate the turn that Rickon is taking this season. I'm kind of like, bro, what's wrong with your head, dude? But those are my thoughts on Rickon right now. Not loving it. Oh, I love that we got to see Dylan on the outside. That was really fun seeing him do the interview for the door job. That was really funny. That's something I'll probably go more in depth on my other video. But the scene I want to focus on, oh my god, which one do I want to focus on? I think I'm going to be talking about the endings of these episodes, because the endings of episode 2 through 5 have all been fucking phenomenal, like ridiculously cool. Loved when Mark confronts Kobelvig. Oh my god, it's so cool. This scene right here.
Hey!
Hello, Mark. Just back from work.
The dialogue between them, it's such interesting writing. The way that they talk to each other, the way they choose to deliver the lines is so good.
Where do you think you're going?
What do you care?
What do I care?
The dialogue when they're first talking, I love how confrontational Mark gets.
I trusted you. I told you what I'd gone through these past 2 years. You were in my house.
This is the most real we've seen the Audi version of Mark.
I ate your shitty fucking cookies.
You know, as weird as his relationship was with Kobelvig, he did view her as a friend and trusted her, and she was a big part of his life, and she was lying to him. She was betraying him the whole time, and so I love how his reaction is just so intense. Love it. Love his energy.
What, so that's it? You're leaving?
And I love how she's just deflecting it and not even giving him the time of day.
Who are you?
I thought you were quitting.
When he runs in front of that car, dude, oh, this is the most intensity and drive I have seen from the outside version of Mark the whole time, right? And I love how they're just having this like Western old cowboy standoff, but it's like him and her in a car, and they're just staring at each other so intensely, and just that like palpable tension just sits there. Cutting between her face and his face and the different angles, and then when he's just like, is this about Gemma? Oh, and her reaction. I mean, the fact that she has such a strong reaction to him asking about Gemma is all you need. What a beautiful way to write a scene. I mean, I'm just so baffled with how cool this writing is. The point we're trying to get to is Mark feels betrayed. Mark doubts that Gemma is alive, but there's been suspicions. He wants answers. The answer is Gemma is still alive. How do we get to that conclusion? And the way that they do that in the writing is so cool. Her reaction, how it just comes out of nowhere. She goes from this quiet, like pensive sitting there to like just pounding on the steering wheel, screaming. Not the reaction you would have expected. She could have backed up and gone around him and driven away. But her huge outburst of reaction is like, fuck. He knows. Oh, that music, dude. Oh, it's so good. I love the standoff in the car. I just think that was such a cool scene and such a cool way to end the episode. I watched it 3 times. Just that scene, I watched it 3 times after I watched it because I was just so blown away with how cool that was. Again, going back to the fact that Gemma is alive and Gemma's Mark's wife, that's now not really a secret anymore to anybody. Everybody knows that Mark knows, and Mark now knows that everybody knows. And it's like, what now? Oh, okay. So that's my thoughts on episode 2. Oh, I loved episode 3. Episode 3 was so, oh my God. Episode 3 might be my favorite one of this season so far. I don't know. I mean, they're all so good. Like, it's hard to pick a favorite, but I really, really like episode 3. We get a little bit more Mr. Milchick here. We get a little bit more of Miss Kobelvig here, more of Dylan's life. And then in the end, Mark just like makes the craziest rash decision. Oh, I'm gonna have to, it's so hard to not talk about literally everything right now, but I'm trying to like contain myself so I can make a full video. This is a short one. We're trying to make this one shorter. Okay, I'm gonna talk about Dylan for a second because in this episode, we get to see Dylan meet his wife for the first time. And I love Gretchen. She's so cute. She's so sweet. I love that there's this vibe of like, Dylan at home is kind of a loser, but Dylan in Lumen is really good at his job and he's like funny and he's sweet. And him meeting Gretchen was just so innocent and sweet, and the big puppy dog smile plastered across his face when he looks at her and he's just like, hi, so cute. And they talk about their kids, and there's this feeling almost as if Gretchen and Annie Dylan are going to fall in love with each other. She like loves Annie Dylan more than the Audi Dylan, which would then give Dylan a reason to reintegrate, which would be kind of fun. I just love where it's going. I'm excited to see where it's going, I guess I should say, because I don't know where it's going, but I like the idea of where it's going. The goat room was insane. The devil symbolism is a lot more prevalent this season. I didn't mention this in my full Severance season 1 video, but there's a lot of goat symbolism throughout season 1, and it's even more prevalent in season 2. Lots of goats everywhere, and obviously goat is a symbol of the devil. The guy in the green grass room that had like the big horns on him that stood up. Oh, that was just such cool imagery and symbolism of like, ooh, you're like the devil's watching you kind of thing. Like, that's just so good. Okay, the standoff between Helena and Kobelvig. Oh my God. When Kobel is like, you fucking need me, and Helena's like, are you sure? Like, she's just so poised and so like poker face. And then she's like, okay, let's go talk to the board. And there's just this air of like something feeling threatening, and Kobel picks up on it and books it out of there. I just love that scene, and I'm going to dissect that more, I think. Once the season's over, I have more of a full picture. I want to go in depth on that scene specifically and talk about like that interaction between Helena and Kobel with more context. I just love Kobel. I don't know. I'm obsessed with her. It's fine. This is also where Milchick gets those paintings of Keir, and the paintings have Keir as him, and the way that he reacts to it. He's very clearly unsettled by these photos, and there's something really significant with these photos. Part of the beginning of Milchick starting to kind of turn on the company, or starting to question, you know, the cognitive dissonance that he's experiencing, and being like, well, something feels off, and he's honoring that. I mean, even later it's proven, it was in episode 5, I believe, where he was like, Natalie, this is weird, right? Like, with more or less words. But this scene, loved this cinematography here. This was insane.
Hello.
The board says hello.
The way that she said that, the board says hello. Like, it's almost like musical.
The board says hello.
Like the way that that you would talk to a child. Like, oh, it's just, it's showing the infantilizing effects of cultish religion, which if you don't know what infantilize means, it basically means you treat people like children. I think this is Lumen testing his loyalty. That's another very culty thing, is the loyalty test, making sure that people really do believe. And I think that this is one of those things to be like, how far in is he? How much does he actually worship us? This is a test of that, and they want to see how he reacts, and it's Natalie's job to see how he reacts. And oh, it's just so fun.
These inclusively recanonicalized paintings to help you see yourself in Kier, our founder.
That swooping shot of her behind him, it's like she's, oh my, why does the sun have to move? I'll fix my lighting in a second. When she's swooping around him like that, it's like a shark. Like she's like a shark circling him, was the first thing that I thought when I saw that. Really intentional camera movement. I think they were trying to show us something about her being predatory in this moment, like a shark. So in this part, it's like she is clearly gauging his reaction, and then there's almost a moment where he like remembers, oh yeah, I have to react to this. I have to be grateful. He has an almost very insincere response. And then the moment where he and Natalie are just staring at each other.
The board has concluded the call.
There's almost a little bit of fear in her eyes. Like maybe I'm misreading this, but she looks almost kind of scared when they're talking. Like she had a little bit of reality peek through from behind her facade. I'm very curious as to what this all means, where Milchick's journey is going to go. I'm just really excited to see what happens. I know I was only going to talk about one per episode, but Mark fucking reintegrates. I have to talk about that. How can I not talk about that? The scene I want to talk about, though, when Ragabi confronts him.
Are you trying to burn a message to your Eni into your retinas?
Yeah.
The full body chills that this gave me. Actually, not even, okay. I took a video of myself after watching this scene because I was actually in shock. The reaction that I had to this moment was stronger than my reaction to the finale of season 1, which up to this point in my life had been the biggest reaction I'd ever had to a television show. This scene was even a bigger reaction, except I wasn't standing up and yelling at the TV. I was laying down having like a panic attack. But like a good panic attack. It was the wildest experience of my life.
My heart is beating so fast right now. I just felt blood rushing through my body like crazy when Mark... Fuck, man. Holy shit. Like, I'm having the best panic attack of my life right now. We're in episode 3.
What I love about this scene, I love the urgency that Ragabi is bringing, which she's like, dude, this is serious. Let me in the car, you know?
Mark, unlock this fucking door!
And she's trying to convince him to reintegrate and that that's the only way. Right then and there, he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Petey died because of that. But the second it's confirmed for him that Gemma is in fact alive, when she tells him Gemma's alive, his reaction, oh my God, I love how he just sits in silence. It's almost like there's no reaction on his face as he's processing. And then him just like getting out of the car, leaning over as if he's about to throw up. Like, what a cool emotional response to hearing that information. And then when she's like, yeah, I can make it work, he doesn't even let her finish her sentence.
I can sew together a version of you that loves her with a version of you that can...
Yes, do it.
The amount of love that this man has for Gemma is extraordinary.
You're sure?
I want to see my wife.
The fact that he went from, no, that will probably kill me, to, I don't care, do it right now. If it gives him any sliver of a chance to see his wife again, he's like, doesn't care about the fact that it might kill him. What a beautiful moment in history. I don't know. What a cool scenario to be in. What a cool way to portray him making that decision. And the fact that we're in episode 3 and Mark's like, yeah, I'm going to reintegrate right now. And then they do it. They do it that night? What? Ah! Like, also, the scene where he reintegrates is so cool, and we're going to talk about that more later. I also love that it's happening in like little bits where she's not doing it all at once like she did with PD, but it's like little slivers of reintegration. That way he doesn't die, and also it kind of lets us still have mystery in the story. Whereas in the next episode, there's only a tiny glimpse near the end of Mark showing signs of his reintegration as his innie. So it's really fun to see how they're going about this reintegration. Episode 4 though was wild, dude. Like episode 4 was just out of this world, unlike anything I've seen. It just like, I don't even know what to think about episode 4.
Holy shit! Out fucking sight!
I liked it though. It was great. It was a very cool way to change the scenery, switch it up a little bit, shock everybody a little bit, but also give us more insight into Lumen and the history of the cult. I don't know how I feel about the little creepy guys that do this, you know? I would love to know how Lumen did that, if that's gonna come back again, what that even means. Was it an illusion in their brain? Is it like a real thing? I don't know. I liked how creepy it was though. This is the episode that felt the most like, whoa, this is a horror show. This was a pretty creepy, spooky episode, more so than any of the others we've seen. And part of it is those twin things being like, very, very Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Return the slab or suffer my curse.
What's your offer?
But I like it. Like, I'm not opposed to it. My favorite line is when Dylan goes, "Now there's a me one."
Return the slab.
Now there's a me one.
I think I want to talk about the seal. I think it's very interesting that they included this specifically in this episode. I don't know. I don't even know if that is a seal. Like, what the fuck is that? First of all. But second of all, I love the acting going around, like the chaos happening around this seal.
We should eat it. We don't even know where we are. Outdoor retreat team building occurrence, right, Mark?
I love how Irving held on to the skepticism, whereas Mark and Dylan seem to have just adopted right back into Lumen and been like, everything's fine, and kind of putting the blinders on, whereas Irving's like, guys, come on, something's wrong. Very fun interactions between all of them. I liked this scene a lot, and I like that there's this added layer of mystery of like, what the fuck is that, and what's going on with this cave and this weird story that they're doing. Like, it's just so out of pocket, so strange, and leaves me with so many questions, but I like it. I like this episode. Obviously, I like all of this freaking show. Yeah, and also I just wanted to point out the joke that Helena makes about the seal, because it's funny.
I made you a snow seal, in case you were hungry.
I love Helena in this episode, how she's just being very carefree and silly and wild. It's almost like she is taking this opportunity, playing Helly, to just experience life and get out of the box that she's been put in and just let loose and try and make friends and have relationships with people. And I think that genuinely she does want to have some kind of connection with Irving. This is her reaching out to him, trying to make a friend and be silly and weird and be herself. I love that Irving takes this as an opportunity to just level with her and ask her what's going on. And like, he's giving her a chance, and he's saying, hey, it doesn't matter who you were out there, what happened, it's not going to change anything. He's being so genuine, but Helena keeps deflecting, which I think this is kind of the beginning of him figuring out that something's off with her. He didn't trust her initially, like he's felt something's off, but I don't think he fully recognizes that this is outie Helena until he falls asleep in the cold and has that nightmare. And I think that after he has time to reflect on what happened, he's like, there's no way that that's Helly. I think it happens, that processing happens for him overnight as he's freezing to death, which is cool. I'm also very mad that Dylan did not go after Irving when he grabbed the torch and left the campsite. I'm mad at Dylan for not going after Irving and possibly preventing him from sleeping in the cold and almost dying. But what are you gonna do? Anyway, this episode was just wild. It was a wild ride, very fun. Let's talk about episode 5. The one thing I want to talk about with episode 5 is, again, the closing scene, because I watched it like 3 times because it's so good. Like, it's so good. When he's talking to Ragabi and he starts hearing Gemma talk to him, and then he goes through this, like, furthering the reintegration procedure and having things come back to him. And it's just, I love the way that this scene happens. It's so artistic and the cinematography is so good. I mean, first of all, having him hear her voice is so cool. I love that he's having, like, a memory come back from a wellness session and he's hearing it fully. So now he's seeing the hallway to the break room, opens the door, and he's seeing the hallways of Lumen for the first time, which is fascinating. Like, now Audi Mark knows, like, oh, this is what my workplace looks like. He's hearing this voice, and then he sees Gemma, and then the look on his face after he like comes out of it.
Your Audi is going to be.
And he's just like, ugh, and the tears, oh my god. No notes, you know, the editing is phenomenal, the music is phenomenal, the acting is phenomenal. Oh, Mark's hair, by the way, phenomenal. This is the best his hair has looked in both seasons so far, and I think that was intentional. I have a hunch. It's also so cool to see him in Lumen wearing his regular clothes like we've seen in the intro sequence, which, by the way, the intro sequence for season 2 is so cool. It's so dope. Like, I'm definitely gonna be talking about that in the longer version of this video. What this show is doing so well is it's just one story, and every character in this story is extremely significant, and that significance is shown to us through the storytelling. Everybody is important here. Even Bert, who is coming back to like spy on Irving and then invites him to dinner. There's all this stuff happening under the surface, and we're seeing people grow and change, and this mystery being unveiled. That's what makes this show so fucking good. I cannot wait to see the end, but I hope this will help satisfy your Severance needs for now. I'm going to be talking about one show in 2 separate videos, most likely, before I post the Severance video, but then the plan is to work on Severance, okay? The next one that I'm gonna do, which hopefully I'll be posting the first part of very soon, is another one of my all-time favorite shows, and I just hope that you enjoy those videos as well. Thank you for watching and for subscribing, and when you subscribe, becoming sexy and hot. So thank you for being here and being sexy and hot, and thank you for liking this video as well, because I know you did that. See you in the next one. Bye!